Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. I thought it'd be fun if we made a card that was really frisky with some watercolors. I've already started this one where I've just put some clear embossing powder over my Versafine Onyx Black and heat set it so that the thanks bunches is really frisky, and then I'm going to do some coloring on it, but I thought I would show you how to stamp up a couple cards like this, and then we would go ahead and make the cards, put them all together, make them fast, hopefully. So I'm going to get that off to the side, because you know I'll end up with ink on it, and then I'll probably lose it because I just put it off to the side. You know how that goes with me. Oh, okay. Didn't push down hard enough, so I don't have that one stuck in there. I did a video on the Stamp Perfect, and I'll make sure I link it to the end about how I set mine up so that it works more effectively for me. Because I'm left-handed, I stamp with the door on the left, but a lot of people would flip theirs around and stamp from the right. But that is my reasoning, although I did just use my ink pad with my right hand. I normally do a lot of my stamping from the left side, so that's why I have this set up left to right. Move that down a little bit and ink it again. I like to ink things more than once. I like a really black image, and the best way to get that is to make sure that you stamp it a couple times. And if you've watched my channel before, you know that I always stamp my sentiments with more than one stamping because I like the darkness of that. And if you watch my videos all the time, you're probably saying, "Gee, Sandy, stop saying that! I'm sick of hearing about it." Okay. I have these two really close together. That's why they're not doing a good job of inking, because they're so close together and I'm not rubbing on that part right there. So I'll just use the old rub it with your finger system. There we go. Let me get that right in the center of that. Doesn't look like it. Good job either. Put a little more ink right there too. I'm using Onyx Black in a distress ink blank because I don't like the containers that the Versafine Onyx Black comes in. And if you are familiar with those, you know what I'm talking about. The lid flaps around and end up with more ink on me than I do in the project, so that's why I flip it around. Now, if you're going to go on to another, I'm going to get that magnet out of the way, I think, next time around. If you saw my video where I did this, setting this up, you saw that I put a piece of acetate in here. Here's why. Ready? See that ink? And now it's gone. That's why I love doing that, because it makes everything so much easier to clean up. And let's just face it, I'm a big mess maker, and so I like to make sure that I can figure out anything that will eliminate my mess making. So then, move my magnets. Oops. I want to show you one other thing that I did. In case you didn't watch that video, and I just like to make sure I tell you the whys and wherefores of some of the things I did. I put these marks in. It's a 5x7 card and a 5.5 by 4.25. I put those in there so that if I was looking to figure out where my sentiment would look right, that those would be a good guide to show me on that size card where to put it. And then I'll show you the other thing that's very helpful with this. When you are double stamping, stamping around a card like I am with these, you're going to need to reset your card. And because this card is going to have some offset on the side, like now I'm going to put one over here, you want to make sure that you have something to line it up with. Well, I use this guide. I can use this magnet. I can push this magnet up against the top and use the magnet. I also created a guide to make sure my sentiment is straight, and I'll show you that when we put the sentiment on this one. But let's stick this one down. I'll put a magnet at the top. Remember, I'm using, get off that magnet. I'm using the grid sheet underneath to make sure that I have everything straight. And my grid sheet I got off the internet, and it's free. You just print it. It's a free downloadable. So magnet attack. So if you are doing anything like this and you want to make sure that you, when you first set up this tool, if you want to make sure that you set it up so it's really efficient for you, watch that video. I'm telling you, these things really make this tool a lot more user-friendly. Also Misty. I mean, you could do this exact same thing with Misty, but I just like to make sure I told you that it's, you know, that this is something that really will help you with your project. Now I'm going to put this one. Maybe I'm going to put my sentiment next. I think I'll do that. And here's what I did with this grid sheet. Here's the grid. I made it so that you could put it up against the wall of the tool. The Stamp Perfect is what this tool is. It works with Misty as well. But you see how the grid lines are lined up on the sheet? So all you have to do, I'm going to slide it down a little bit so I can figure out where I want my sentiment and make sure it's right side up, because that's always a tricky part. I'm going to put my sentiment up right in there, I think. And I'm going to use this line that this piece created, and I'm just going to set it so that it should, at this point, be straight. So now I can just ink that up. Oh, before I do that, I want to run my little pouch around that, because I am going to do the same thing where I'm going to emboss my sentiment. And this is the thing where I explained that I always like to stamp them twice, because I want a really strong sentiment. And I'll tell you the stamp sets that I use in just a second. The other thing that I wanted to make sure I told you is, if you don't watch my videos, you might not know this, I write everything down below. I explain step by step how you do the whole video, because this channel is primarily for people who have issues like me, and I wanted to make sure that if you were hearing impaired, that you would be able to go to my site, watch my videos, and read all the comments down below, so that you don't have to hear it. You can read it so that you know exactly step by step how to do it. And I'm also doing a collaboration with R.O.Y.G.B.I.V, where we're going to do one video where she is going to do sign language, and I my video will be like it normally is, where I put all my information in the comments. But we thought that would be a nice thank you to our hearing impaired viewers, and so that's our plan. My sentiment is on, and you want to heat up your heat tool for just a couple seconds, maybe 10-15, and then as soon as it turns from this weird fuzzy color to shiny, that's when you're done. You just want to make sure you move it around as much as you can. So that's that one. And now, because I set this card up exactly the same way, that came from a stamp set that's an old Stampin' Up one called Sassy Salutations. And the other one comes from a set from Stamps of Life, and it's called, it's a secret right now, Crazy for Daisies. And it's crazy, the number 4 daisies. go from here with the two that I have done, and I'll be right back with my coloring. So I decided what I was going to do is I was going to use my Koi watercolors. It's this little travel box, and it has 24 colors in it, and I just got mostly just primary colors, and I made my purple a little bit darker purple by adding a little bit of red into it and a little bit of blue, I think, and just, you know, made it more vibrant. And I thought what I would do is wet the background and just put like a really light color on the back so that it's not just stark white. Oh, before I go any further, I want to tell you about this. This is those Lunchables containers. Oh, I just dropped that in there. And I haven't washed it yet. I just used it, well, Rich had lunch in it, and I thought this would be perfect after I wash it out to use as a mixing palette for watercolors, so I thought I'd just tell you that. So I'm just going to wet my watercolor paper and hopefully be able to, I'm not going to tape it down right now. I might tape it down later, but I'm hoping I won't have to. I'm going to be using each one of my little things, my little sections, I'm going to be using a different color on. Because my paper is wet, it should, well, it should have just, I don't know if I have enough water on this. It should just kind of move the blue around. I don't want this blue to be, you know, crazy blue. I just want it to be a little bit of a background noise, maybe we'll call it. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I have a light green, and I'm going to dot that around here and there. And just kind of wipe it back off. But you know, Christina Warner does lovely videos on watercoloring, so if you're looking for a really good watercolor video, she's your girl. There, so half of it is kind of blue and half of it is green. I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll be back to that. Put that off to the side, and then in the meantime, I'm going to just take the my watercolor pencils and color this one. So it's going to just be watercolor pencils. So we're going to be coloring with some, this is a karan'd Super Color 2 Soft 3888, and this is as well, oh no, I made that up. They are not 388. That's the number of the company. This one's Raspberry Red 270, and this is Vermilion 060. Then I'm using some Prismacolors, Sunburst Yellow, Non-Photo Blue, Parrot Green, Lilac, and lastly, this is a Derwent Inktense Hot Red. So those are the colors we're going to be using. And I'm going to be using them kind of in a rainbow order, but not really. Well, I was going to write this out for you, but then I decided, heck, I could just print it on my computer. I never knew what this meant. It's an acronym for the rainbow colors, R.O.Y.G.B.I.V, and R obviously stands for red, O for orange, Y for yellow, G for green, B for blue, I for indigo, and V for violet. So that's where it came from, and if you ever hear that in art, that's what it means. I had no idea, and I figured you might not either, so I figured I would share it with you. And so I'm going to be using those colors of the rainbow in my project, and I thought I would just leave the rainbow there so that I can kind of follow it along as I color in my flowers. And there are 7. And I thought there were 7 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There might be 8. Well, we're going to fake it then. We're just going to make one to grow on. Anyway, so our first color we're going to shoot for is a red. And we have one that's called Hot Red. And I'm going to make the color darker in the center. And then I'm going to make it go into like a little bit lesser color as I go. And then I'm going to be using a blender pen. This is a Stampin' Up blender pen. They what it does is, whoops, this one's really wet. I just re-ink these or re-wet them. Dove blender pens come with a bottle of the refill, and so what I did is I just took the bottle of refill and filled all of my pens with it. I might as well do all of my reds, and that way you know, I use one color one time and go on to the next. And I'm going to move it around so that I don't have the red in the same color all the time, or in the same spot of my flowers, my daisies. When you're watercoloring with watercolor pencils, you don't have to really lay down pigment everywhere. If you want it to be darker though, that's when you want to make sure that you put more color in certain spots. I think I'm going to add a little bit more red. Now it's dried now. I was out and about, so now that it's dried, I'm going to add a little more red into this one, and a little bit more red into that one. So there is that one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what I want to do for my background on it. I haven't decided yet, but I think I might do some little circles of different colors, and that was all in that same Stamps of Life set that's right here. They had them, see that teeny tiny circle? I was thinking it would be fun if I took this circle that's just a plain circle, and, well, it's an open circle, excuse me, not plain. It's an open circle, and what I thought I would do is just stamp around with this. I'm going to get a teeny tiny little acrylic block. Okay, I'm just going to put it on the edge like that. And I'm going to stamp it in the same Versafine Onyx Black. If you have a new stamp and you can't get it to work, if you take a eraser and you go over it very gently and then wipe it off really well with your rag, you should be able to make it absorb the ink. Sometimes brand new stamps just don't want to accept ink, and we don't want to have any problems with this, because I'm not going to put it back into the Stamp Perfect. I'm going to stamp the first one off the page. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get our marker and we're going to fill in our circles. Let me go off camera and do this because I'm going to have my head right over it, and you don't want to see that. I'll be right back. Before I go any further, I want to tell you just a little bit about these brushes. You know those shaving brushes that people are buying? They're really nice, but they're hard to find. Well, Lindsay the Frugal Crafter mentioned this just once in passing, that you could go to Harbor Freight Liquidators, and they have these 1-inch chip brushes. And so I went there, and they sold one for 69 cents or a box of them of 36 for $10. And they always give you a 20% off coupon, so my box of 36 ended up costing $8. Here's what I found when I started playing with them. This on the left is what it looks like when you get it. You see the length difference? What I found out is if I cut this much off, about, I would say, 1/2 of an inch, it becomes a really great blending brush. And so I'm going to show you. I thought I would blend some yellow around the edges of this card to give it a little bit more, I don't know, just something. And I'm using this Color Box Lemon Drop. Now don't get alarmed. This is not an illusion. I am using my big pink gun. Am I good at it? No, not particularly. The Scotch makers of this big pink gun should have come up with an idea about how left-handed people can't actually see what we are taping, because that little tape runner deal is on the left side of the tape runner. So the whole time I'm doing this, I'm basically running blind. More blind than usual. I'm just saying. Okay. And I can never keep my little tape thing on there. And if I show this to Rich and ask him to help me with it, he looks like he's going to cry because he hates it so much. It's always such a problem. Okay, so we're just going to lay our little fun card down, and then we're going to put some foam tape under this layer, and then how does that look to you? Not bad. I'm not unhappy with that. Here's our card that was a watercolor card that we started with, that we've made our background. It's kind of a blue and green background, and we're just going to take some of these watercolors that are kind of dried up now. I'm going to spray them and reactivate them so that they're ready to roll. I was at the Dollar Tree and found this. Tell me that's not the coolest little sprayer bottle you ever saw. Made me happy, I gotta be honest, because I lose those water bottles no problem. Every time I turn around, I can't figure out what I did with it. backing that we like with this. What do you think about that? Putting it on purple. I don't like it on purple. I think I'm going to go with orange. Which one do you like better, the orange or the purple? I personally think I like the orange. My little paper trimmer. Trim this little baby up and we'll be ready to roll. I'm going to be using this Stay Put glue that my friend Becky sent me. And I put a little bit of it on an acrylic block. And I thought what I would do is pick some of these out now. Okay, I'm not exactly sure how I'm supposed to do this with these sticks. I don't know if I'm supposed to bend them around like that, but this is what I'm going to do with mine. I'm going to twist it like this, and I have two of them, and I'm twisting it together to make it into like a shape that I can hold on to that's about, I don't know, 2 inches long. So then that did work. Hey, whoever you were that told me this, so far I'm loving you. I'm going to find that out. I'm going to find whoever you were, and I'm going to put it in the comments because I so appreciate anytime anybody gives me a tip like this that actually does work and helps me in any way. So I'm going to find out whoever you were and just thank you for this idea because it's so wonderful. So in the end, this is what my two cards look like. I thought they really came out cute. This is the one I did with the watercolors, and this is the one I did with watercolor pencils. I think they're really different and unique. I love the little sequin things with the circles around them. I really thought they were a fun and neat way of doing things. And then I made one more for my friend Sherry who broke her foot. This one I did with Copics, and I used my brushes that I bought, and I ran the yellow, then the pink, then the blue, then the green in the background on it, and then I put a pink background on the paper, and then I colored my cardstock yellow so that it wasn't a white. As you know, I'm not crazy about that white look. So I really think this technique was a lot of fun to try, just looking at the rainbow and deciding what rainbow colors would work in what situations best. I hope you enjoyed this and that you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.